Okay, how are you guys doing? Good? Great. Lord, thank you for today. Thank you for another day, another time to come and just dive into your word. Lord, I pray that you give us clarity as we look into your word. I pray that you speak through me. Again, Lord, I've prepared, but I ask that you speak. Let everybody hear what you have for them to hear. Thank you for all that you do for us. Thank you for who you are. In Jesus' name, amen. How's you guys' paper coming?
Paper's great, the words are slow.
Words are slow. I did email your mom. I don't have you guys' emails, so your mom's had her homework assignment. That's where it is. You haven't seen it? I was gonna text you and be like, hey, by the way. Go to Genesis 15. There is, oh, there's one up here. It's tiny. And it has cobwebs on it. There might be a spider in it. You never know. Okay, Genesis 15, verse 1. Now after these things, the word of the Lord came to Abram in a vision, saying, do not fear, Abram. I am a shield to you. Your reward shall be very great. New King James says, I am your shield, I am your exceedingly great reward. So he starts with do not fear, right? I will be a shield to you. Your exceedingly great reward. We started this class spending a lot of time looking at God's character. We're going to end this class looking at a huge part of God's character. Okay, we're going to just bookend it with God's character. What do we see from this verse? Do not fear, Abram, I am a shield to you. Your reward shall be very great. What do we see about God's character in that one verse? He's protection. He's protection. Protection. What else? He wants good for you. Yes. He wants good for you. He'll be there. Yes. So, I want you guys to contrast his character with any other God, small g God, that the world worships. All of them require sacrifice, require all this stuff to hopefully maybe not have them mad at you. And this is the God we serve. He says, do not fear. I will be a shield to you. And your exceedingly great reward, or your reward will be very great. So we're looking at God's character, but we're looking at God as our defense. As our defender. Because this is a huge aspect of God's character. Okay, we read his character that he's kind and loving kindness and long suffering and all of these things, and he's also just and won't let the guilty go unpunished, and all of that. But this is an aspect of God's character that we haven't looked at this year. We haven't seen, or we haven't dwelt on it. So we're going to spend time on it today. This idea of God being our defender. Go to Psalm 18. We see this a lot from David. Why? Because God defended David. David saw it over and over and over. Literally, Saul was hunting him to take his life. And God defended him again and again and again. So, when David talks about God being his defender or his shield or his refuge, he lived it. So Psalm 18, 1 through 3, David says, I love you, O Lord, my strength. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, my God, my rock in whom I take refuge, my shield and the horn of my salvation, my stronghold. I call upon the Lord, who is worthy to be praised, and I am saved from my enemies. Look at that with David's life. He sees this over and over and over. He's playing his heart for Saul, and Saul tries to pin him to the wall with his spear, right? And David goes, I see how God has protected me over and over and over. Saul gives David his daughter as a wife. Here, you can marry into my family, sure. Then he sends people up to go kill him in his bed. And his wife gets word of it, and they lower him out a window to protect him from his father-in-law. What a rough way to live, right? Having your father-in-law out to kill you. And he goes, God, you are my strength, my rock, my fortress, my deliverer. Go to 2 Samuel. This is also David. Second Samuel 22, 31 through 36. This is David again, I'm pretty sure. Yes, this is David again. 31. As for God, his way is blameless. The word of the Lord is tested. He is a shield to all those who take refuge in him. For who is God besides the Lord? And who is a rock besides our God? God is my strong fortress, and he sets the blameless in his way. He makes my feet like hinds' feet, that's like deer, and sets me on my high places. He trains my hands for battle, so that my arms can bend a bow of bronze. You have given me the shield of your salvation, and your help makes me great. You enlarge my steps under me, and my feet have not slipped. I just love that. You have given me the shield of your salvation. So this shield is protection, but also salvation. Not just being saved from issues here, but ultimately salvation, eternity, life. So, God is our defender. Go to Daniel chapter 3. Verse 8. Now, this is when the king has had a vision of this statue of a gold head and silver chest and all the things, and he makes a statue similar to the one in his dream, and he tells everybody, hey, when the music plays, you have to bow down and worship my statue. And I don't know where Daniel was at this time, but his three compadres, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, this is their response, right? Chapter 3, verse 8. For this reason, at that time, certain Chaldeans came forward and brought charges against the Jews. They responded and said to Nebuchadnezzar the king, O king, live forever. You, O king, have made a decree that every man who hears the sound of the horn, flute, lyre, trigon, psaltery, and bagpipe, can you imagine the amount of noise that was? That was just a lot of noisy instruments. And all kinds of music is to fall down and worship the golden image. But whoever does not fall down and worship shall be cast into the midst of a furnace of blazing fire. There are certain Jews whom you have appointed over the administration of the province of Babylon, namely Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have disregarded you. They do not serve your gods or worship the golden image which you have set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in rage and anger, gave orders to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then these men were brought before the king. Nebuchadnezzar responded and said to them, Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you have not served my gods or worshipped the golden image I have set up? Now, if you are ready, at the moment you hear the sound of the horn, flute, lyre, trigon, psaltery, and bagpipe, and all kinds of music, to fall down and worship the image that I have made very well. So he goes, I'll give you a second chance. If you're ready to fall down and worship when you hear this music, great. But if you do not worship, you will immediately be cast into the midst of a furnace of blazing fire. And what God is there who can deliver you out of my hands? Pretty arrogant, right? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to give you an answer concerning this matter. We don't even need to think about it, right? This isn't even something that requires thought process. We know our answer, right? Verse 17, if it be so, our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the furnace of blazing fire. They know the Lord. They recognize that he is a shield, that he is a defender, that he is a protector. So they say, our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the furnace of blazing fire. And he will deliver us out of your hand, O king. Verse 18 is key. But even if he does not, let it be known to you, O king, that we are not going to serve your gods or worship the golden image that you have set up. They have this history of seeing God's protection for his people. They have the history of seeing how God brought his people out of Egypt, how God brought them through the promised land, all the different things. King David, all these people they've seen before them, and they go, no, our God is able to save us from you. And even if he doesn't, even if he chooses not to, there's no way we're going to worship your false God. There's no way we're going to turn that direction. We're not going to succumb to this idea. The king gets super mad, says his facial expression was altered. They heated the furnace 7 times hotter than normal. The guys who threw them in got burnt to death and died. They tied them up in all their clothes. I've heard that makes the deaths take a little longer, so it's more torturous, right? Like tie them up in all their clothes, and they get thrown into the fire. And God delivers them. Verse 24, then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astounded and stood up in haste, and he said to his high officials, was it not 3 men we cast bound into the midst of the fire? They replied to the king, certainly, O king. And he said, look, I see 4 men loosed and walking about in the midst of the fire without harm. And the appearance of the 4th is like a son of the gods. Then Nebuchadnezzar came near the door of the furnace of blazing fire. He responded and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, come out, you servants of the Most High God, and Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came out in the midst of the fire. The satraps, the prefects, the governors, the king's high officials gathered around and saw in regard to these men that the fire had no effect on the bodies of these men, nor was the hair of their heads singed, nor were their trousers damaged, nor had the smell of fire even come upon them. Nebuchadnezzar responded and said, Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his angel and delivered his servants who put their trust in him. Okay? So, there's three aspects. God promises Abraham, I will shield you. I will protect you. You will have a great reward. David looks at his life and goes, these are all the ways that God has protected me. And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego go, even if he doesn't, like, we know he can protect us, but even if he doesn't, we will stay true to him. Right? Three different types of recognizing God as our shield. So, looking at patterns from the Old Testament, looking at how people lived their life that we can emulate, that we can pattern after. Why would we as Christians need a shield? First off, what do you think of when you think of a shield? When you think of a refuge or a fortress, or God has called our rock, right? Why would we need these things? What do you think of? And then why would we need them? To go to battle? Yeah. When I think of a fortress, I think of Abigail and I when we were in Norway. We didn't like take a tour, but we toured around a castle. Like there's just a castle in Bergen that you can go wander around, and it's this massive like fortress and stone towers and walls and all this stuff. And there's one spot that there's a big cannonball hole. And this fortress was fired on one time because the mail was late. Okay? Somebody had like signed an agreement with the head honcho of Norway over here, and then they had sailed. They were going to help protect this harbor in Bergen, so they had sailed into the Bergen harbor. Well, the head honcho of Norway forgot, or somehow the communication was too slow from head honcho guy to the fort, so they just see this giant battleship invading their port, and so they started shooting at it and firing upon it, so they fought back. Really, they were on the same team, but they were fighting each other. But that's what I think of when I think of a fortress, this huge, just massive stone structure. Okay? What else? What do you guys think of?
It also gives you the advantage.
Yeah. Yes.
Depending on how your fortress is built, that you have an advantage over your enemy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it gives you the advantage. What else? What else does a fortress or a shield give you? I was hoping somebody would come up with protection. What else? What else does it give you?
Gives you confidence that you're not gonna be destroyed, so.
Confidence.
I was thinking strength.
Yeah, strength. I think it was the Romans who they had shields that would lock together. And so they would just like lock their shields, and then they could just push, and like they were fierce in battle because their shields kept them safe. I don't watch war movies, but that's something I've heard of from, you know. Okay, so strength. What else does a shield give you? A place to hide. gives you a place to hide. One of the worst decisions I ever made was playing paintball one time. Horrible, horrible decision. I would not do well in battle. People started shooting and I was like, just hide with everything in you. And this is what I think of often when I think of a shield. Just hide. It's a place to hide, right? What else? What else does a fortress or a shield offer? Audrey, any thoughts?
I'm having safety, that's practically.
The protection, the safety. Well, yeah, and there's a difference between like you're in a battle and you've got a shield protection and just the safety of if you're in a fortress, who's gonna get in, right? Like you're kind of just there and safe and protected. This is maybe a more active like, the safety, you can just be there and it's safe. Okay, so why in our Christian walk is it important for us to recognize this aspect of God's character? Why would that be key? Why would that be important for us to know? Why is it mentioned so many times in the Bible? Yes, we have an enemy, right?
Fear ensues doubt.
Fear? Is that what you said?
Yeah, it ensues doubt. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, it brings on doubt. Good. I wrote down something between us and the world, right? Our world is a pretty ugly place. It's pretty awful. We were at Bible Club one time, and this was in that horrible apartment complex, Barbary, that was so dangerous, we found out later. And Samuel and I knocked on this door. We were looking to see if there was any kids that lived there, and this guy just like opens it. And I was like, he doesn't speak English. So I gave him my spiel in Spanish. Like, this is what we're doing. We're having a Bible club. And maybe he didn't speak Spanish, I'm not sure. Another guy came, a very large guy. And normally people would like stand in their door and visit. This guy like came out. And I was kind of like, I'm gonna just kind of get behind Samuel. Because this guy's really big and doesn't seem happy. Right? We talk, we realize they don't have kids. Okay, bye. They closed the door. I had been kind of tucked behind Samuel, right? He's a pretty good wall. They closed the door and Sam was like, that knife was really big. And I was like, what knife?
Oh.
Right? And he's like, he was carrying a giant knife. And I was like, I'm so glad I didn't see that. I would have just taken off. Like, it was too much. Okay? But I think of that sometimes when I think of a shield. Like, just somebody bigger than you can get behind. Okay? What about protection from persecution, right? Protection from persecution. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego dealt with this. This is something that you need to know in case, right? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego maybe never thought, wow, the king where we are taken captive is going to build this giant thing and make us bow to it when the bagpipes play. But they were ready when that happened, right? So recognizing that God is our fortress and our shield will protect us if and or when persecution comes. They had that plan. They didn't even take time, right? Verse 16, they said, "Oh, Nebuchadnezzar, we do not even need to give you an answer concerning this matter. We don't even need time to think about this. We know who our shield is, and we're ready." we're ready. Okay, so we need it for protection from persecution. Sometimes you need it from protection from friends and family. I wish that weren't the case, but it's true. Sometimes you need to recognize who God is, His character, so that you can deal with situations that come up. And I hope that's not the case, but it very well could be. I've had friends come to me and be like, "Oh, Hannah, I think you're completely wrong in this and completely off," and like, meh. And I had to take it before the Lord and go, literally, I had this conversation with a person. It was a very rough conversation with this friend. We got done, and I took it before the Lord, and I was like, "Lord, if there's anything I needed to hear in this conversation, if there's an area here I need to grow in, I want to work on that. But if not, would you just remove the hurtful words?" Because it was pretty harsh. And the entire memory, I can see this person standing there talking at me, and I have absolutely no recollection of what they said. None. Because it was something they needed to just vent their spleen on, and God protected me from that. Because it was pretty hurtful. I remember crying about it and just taking it to the Lord. Like, this hurt a lot. I want to grow from it. Okay? Now, this doesn't negate accountability. It doesn't negate accountability, right? If somebody comes to you and says, "Hannah, I feel like you need to work on this," I need to take that before the Lord and be like, "Yes, actually, I did." Okay? I have a couple really close friends that they can call me on whatever, and I will very heavily weigh it before the Lord. Other people, not as much. Okay? So this doesn't take out accountability, but I've had siblings say things that are super harsh that I've had to go, "Lord, if there's something in this I need to grow from, help me do that. If not, can I move past this," right? And He's our shield, He's our protector in these situations. Why else would we need to see this aspect of God's character? Any other thoughts?
Strength of faith.
Yes. Expound on that.
Well, it's hard to have faith in somebody who lets you down all the time.
Yeah.
You can't trust them if it's just a constant disappointment.
Yeah.
You know, but when you understand God's character and you can see that working in your life, it's like He's constantly coming behind you saying, "See, I got you. See,
Yeah.
you can trust me. Wake up. You can trust me."
Yeah.
You know, and then I also think to glorify Him, because when we see His protection in our life, like the story you just shared right now, it's glorifying God, how He took that terrible memory from you and protected you. You know, it's a testimony to other people of what He does.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Glorify God. Good. Okay, any other thoughts? Okay, I want you to sit back and I want you to just think about how good this is. Right? How gracious God is. God met your greatest need. He saved you from sin. He met your greatest need. And He doesn't go, "Okay, Hudson, I snatched you out of hellfire. You can go to heaven if you make that decision. We're done. He met your greatest need and then goes so far above and beyond anything we could actually imagine, right? He doesn't just go, Autumn, I'm gonna save you. He goes, I'm gonna give you a place to hide. I'm gonna give you a refuge. I'm gonna give you the advantage in conflict, in battles against the enemy. I'm gonna give you safety. And there's nothing, we don't have to earn it. We don't have to fight for it. We don't have to burn candles or offer food sacrifices. He just says, I not only meet your greatest need, now here's all this added stuff, all these added benefits, all of this that you get to enjoy. He could have been like, you know what, David, I'm sorry, that spear's just gonna take you out. Pin to the wall, done. No, he goes, I will shield you, I will protect you, I will hedge you before and behind. I'm gonna take care of you, right? So recognize how incredible the God we serve is, right? He has a character that's just. He has a character that's loving. He has a character that decided to meet our greatest need, and then he goes above and beyond and offers to be our defender and our protector and our provider. All right, so I just wrote down scenarios where you might need a defender, a shield, protection. This one was very, very close to home. I've told you I had pretty significant issue with one of my siblings for quite a while. It was like a year and a half of really, really hard, right? And the two of us ended up going on a mission trip together. I remember thinking, what if they tell everybody on the mission trip that I'm crummy and that I'm horrible and how awful? Because that was their opinion of me, right? And I was just like, I don't want everybody's view of me to be skewed because of what they say. Like, it was really, really bothering me. And one day God was just like, Hannah, I'm your defense. You live your life right before the Lord, and He'll defend you. He'll protect you. Okay? So that's an area very specific to me that God very clearly, like, no, I got this. I'll protect your reputation. You're fine. What if you're falsely accused about stuff? Get Joseph falsely accused about stuff. Go to Genesis 45. Falsely accused, spent a lot of time in jail because of this false accusation. And this is his opinion on it. Ready? Genesis 45. I almost said Joseph 45. Genesis 45, verse 4. Then Joseph said to his brothers, please come closer to me. And they came closer and said, I'm your brother, Joseph, whom you sold into Egypt. Now, do not be grieved or angry with yourselves because you sold me here. For God sent me before you to preserve life. For the famine has been in the land 2 years, and there are still 5 years which there will neither be plowing nor harvest. God sent me before you to preserve you for a remnant in the earth and to keep you alive by a great deliverance. Now therefore, it was not you who sent me here, but God. He has made me a father to Pharaoh and lord of all his household and ruler over all the land of Egypt. Joseph was falsely accused. He was sold. Talk about sibling conflict, right? He was sold by his siblings. He was a slave, falsely accused, forgotten about in prison. The cupbearer, who he interpreted his dream. He's like, hey, tell somebody I'm here. Cupbearer like, oh, sorry, I forgot, right? And Joseph goes, no, God sent me here before you. So, God shielded and protected him through all the horrible and then used him, okay? So you're falsely accused about something. Family garbage, right? Lies, gossip, different things that can come up. Work-related stuff. There's things that happen where people will lie about you. People will say different things, right? Mission trips. Stuff like this comes up a lot on mission trips. I feel like this happens a lot on mission trips where it's like, oh, I want to make sure I do this right so that these people think right of me. Like, I want to work hard so that nobody has this bad opinion of me. It's this balancing game of like, oh. And God is your defender. He's your shield. He'll take care of your character. I wrote down friends, conflict, and crushes. Right? God will defend you. God will defend you in those things, right? He'll protect you. I remember being super concerned about what's this guy gonna think about me? The right guy, God will. Don't worry about it, right? Okay. Enough said on that. So, God is our defender. Let's take a break and then we're going to come back and look at a lot of verses. Okay?